So the best weed is coming from Southern Oregon,
and Northern California. Yeah.
You're getting the weed from the rednecks.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then, you know, just through happenstance, we ended up meeting a guy who introduced us to these Mexicans that were from Sinaloa, which is where it was the beginning of the weed industry.
Yeah.
Like they made Sensimilla. They figured out how to make the bud with that sin semilla. You speak Spanish without seed. Yeah, they were the ones who fucking figured that all out. They're the best growers.
Yeah.
They're farmers. Back in the day, you know, from the 90s through, you know, a couple of years ago, they would send members, lieutenants, up to Oregon and Northern California to set up grows, to set up these huge thousands and thousands of plant grows up in the forest.
So they're growing locally there.
Exactly.
They just have the good product to grow.
They have the expertise.
They're like the Monsanto of weed.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's all about the seed, right?
Of course. And they're the ones that are willing to go high into the middle of nowhere in the mountains, and they can rig irrigation to make it go from whatever water source, whatever river is, you know, up the way, and they're able to like make the sunlight hit the plants through those gigantic trees, and it's like brilliant. And then what you do is, and then they find guys like me, and they just dish it off, and they send all the profit back to Mexico.
So they heard about you?
No. I paid to meet them.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah,
okay.
Bro. So I hit.
Give me this happenstance bullshit that you're talking about. There's no happenstance. You know what the fuck is going on. What really happened here?
So one of the guys who had introduced us, one of these white boys from Southern Oregon, who actually initially introduced us to these rednecks, they were getting out of the business.
The rednecks said, we don't want to be in it anymore.
Correct. They just made enough money, you know?
Good for them.
Which never happens.
It's very rare, right?
Never happens. So he happened to know a guy a Mexican guy, Mexican-American, grew up here, and his uncle was one of the guys growing for one of these big Sinaloan operations.
Now, just so I can get this right, he's growing in America.
Correct.
But it's all owned by the Sinaloans.
All owned by, and these motherfuckers, bro, not only they don't speak English, they don't know what state they're in. They know they're on the West Coast. They don't know where the fuck they are.
How do they get in? Is it all coyotes?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so they're there illegally.
Yeah.
Are they buying the land? Or they're just growing in the middle of the fucking forest?
No, they're just growing in the middle of the forest. They're like squatting on the land, growing in the middle of the forest. Now, and eventually they would set up like greenhouses. They got more sophisticated with it, but no, dude, they were marching their ass fucking days into the forest. And
hunting
it's huge.
For food, like?
No, they lug it up.
Okay.
They lug it up.
Okay.
This is like 2007, 2008?
Exactly. They don't do that anymore because it's not worth it to them. Like weed is legal now. Like they stopped doing that probably like 10 years ago. They quit sending their guys up here to do that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But dude, it's wild. I was locked up with a dude, Mexican dude from Colima, which is close to Sinaloa. He was telling me that he was working on one of these grow sites. He was like in overalls, didn't have shoes on. The spot got raided. He ran into the forest, got away, and made it back to Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Without shoes on.
Fire.
Wow. Fire, bro.
It's like when you drop a dog off in the park and then he makes it back home.
He's going to find his way home, dude.
Only a pigeon, bro. That's crazy.
Dude. Give a horse his head, he'll find his way home, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're setting up these things.
So
you meet this guy.
Yeah, well,
do you speak Spanish? You sound like
you
speak. Okay,
yeah.
So you're able to communicate with these guys, so there's a little bit more trust maybe?
Yeah, actually, it's even less trust. I found out, do not go in there speaking Spanish.
They think you're DA.
Of course, bro, of course. Do not go in there try to impress these motherfuckers.
They're like, he spent 6 months in Colombia.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I studied in Argentina, you know.
I'm figuring that if you were DA, they'd send you down to be one of these, like, what is it called, narco tráfico, whatever, guys?
No, you're like an undercover.
Yeah, an undercover,
You're like an undercover DEA guy, but all those dudes speak perfect Spanish. So, like, and they were immediately like, what the fuck? And my boy who was with me was like, no, he's cool. Like, look at his student ID.
Yeah.
He got this at the quad. He's not a fucking DEA agent.
Okay, so how do you convince them?
Just money.
Okay, you just go, how much do you have to spend to meet them?
10 stacks.
Just for the
10
meeting?
racks just for the intro. But I'm like, I told my partner, I'm like, dude, it's worth it. I think we're onto something. So
how'd you hear about them? From the rednecks?
No, yes, just a guy who was involved with them. And he was a Mexican kid, but he grew up in the States and had this connection. One of his uncles was working in this grow. So I was like, just take me down there. I went down there didn't even buy anything the first trip, right? I was like, just let me, like, what's the ticket? It's official. Okay, 2,000 a pound. Okay, I'll be back with 80 grand. Give me 40 of those things to start. And then I got a guy on the East Coast buying them for 35 a piece.
And then you
So
got to
just do the
drive
math.
40 pounds of weed back down, however long.
Back up.
Now, is there any
Back
part
up,
as
sorry.
you're about to link up with the cartel that you're like, oh, this is where it gets too big. This is a bad idea.
No.
There's no inner self-dialogue like, oh, the cartel is not to be fucked with.
Are you weirdly thinking it's safer? Because you're cutting out more interactions? The more people that know, the more chances you go down.
It was, of course, yeah. I was like, yeah, this is it's not only safer, but once I met the dude on the East Coast, that was like, he was like, how much can you get me a pound for? 35, that cheap? I called, I was like, we're about to get rich. It's like, we're about to, it was the aha moment.
You're buying for 2,
selling it for like,
flipping for 35.
Yeah, and if he was buying in bulk, like 10 or more, I'd give it to him for 3.
It didn't matter, you're still making 50%.
Exactly, if I'm making 1,000, 1,500 profit per piece, and we're doing 40 or 50 of those a week, it's $1 million spot. So, and that's when my friend was like, I'm gonna get out. I think I'm gonna walk.
Because he made how much?
He made, dude,
First of all, how much are you making a month on this at the height?
so 80.
So you're making 80 grand a month.
80 after expenses and
So you're
you know
coming
what
up
I mean?
with
I'm averaging. Some months were better, but I want to say
You're making $1 million a
conservatively-
year.
That's about $1 million.
Exactly.
$1 million a year. Okay.
Exactly.
So you make $1 million a year for how long before he goes, okay, I think I'm good?
No. I bought him out before any of this happened.
Wait, you bought him out?
Yeah. He wanted out.
And then he also wanted to be bought out? That's a weird thing to buy someone out of an illegitimate business.
It was just out of respect. It was just out of respect.
How much did you give him?
I gave him 20 grand. Yeah, because that was like, because the re-up back then, like what you have in the pot to make your re-ups, your buys, was about 40 or 50 grand. So like, here, this is your half anyways, you know? And we didn't really know it was gonna hit like this. Of course, you're like, when you think you're onto something, you're like, I think we're gonna get rich, but we didn't really know.
How did you find the guy on the East Coast?
Yeah, this is the most white boy way.
I love this.
Yeah,
amazing.
Thank you.
Aren't white people the best?
Dude, we fucking... Hey, and I got out.
We have so many friends.
Got out. And I got out and I didn't miss a beat, you guys. I didn't miss a fucking beat.
Okay.
Yo, so I'm studying.
You guys played rugby. Yeah, you played rugby in high school.
Country club, golf, something.
Andrew, it was polo, okay?
Respect,
It was polo.
respect.
No, I was studying it, because, I was failing in school, I was fucking up left and right, you know what I mean, STDs, all that shit. Nice. So yeah, hell yeah, dude, hell yeah, thanks. So I was like, but you can get a bunch of credits by just like studying abroad. It was like a joke, right? So I was like, okay, if I do this, I graduate on time. So I studied in Argentina for like 3 or 4 months. You went to Spain, right?
Yeah.
Same shit.
Yeah.
So I'm kicking it. My best friend down there was a dude from Philly. Just one of these like dirty Philly kids, right?
Yeah.
Just fucking the worst white people in America,
Eagles
dude.
fan.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
You get pounds for how much? And he, all of his friends were connected. They were all like either their parents were mobsters.
He was,
No, connected in like the garbage business, like mafia. business. I thought you went like cokeheads.
No.
Is that the sign?
Oh,
okay, sure. So,
I knew something.
What is that? He's just trying to be cool.
You wouldn't know.
Oh, that's a fucking chomo, bro. I think that's a chomo
It doesn't
sign, dude.
exist.
But he didn't know either.
About? What's mafia?
But all those dudes are into drugs now. Like the mafia has long since like relinquished like that we don't sell drugs policy.
Yeah,
you know what I
don't
mean?
even know if that was ever a policy. I think that was romanticized in The Godfather.
I think so. Well, part of it, I think there was long ago, like people that recognized, like Meyer Lansky was never like, we're gonna sell drugs. You know what I mean? Gambling, women, all that shit. But
Palestine.
Booze.
Palestine.
But he draws the line at coke. That could affect too many lives. How dare we get involved in
Palestine
that?
is just a turf war, dog. That's just a turf war.
Yeah. So,
You're good.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
So he was like my best friend down there. We're going out getting drunk, all this bullshit, and it was surreal. He was finally like, okay, so you're buying everything. I had my own apartment. Like I didn't even live with a family down there, right? You know how most students like have to stay in like a a studio apartment with 10 people. I was like, I'm just gonna go get my own high rise on the river, baller shit, right? And so he was like, what the fuck, you know? Like game recognized game. And I was like, yeah, that's what I do, blah, blah, blah.
You were doing it while you were there?
No. I
just
gave
took a little break.
I would take a hiatus.
Gotcha,
You know,
gotcha,
so money's always moving, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, my friends, you know, what's the school in Temple or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, all their parents are fucking mob dudes and all that shit. And yeah, that's just what they do. It'd be wild if, you know, you could get them their weed. You know, they'd probably pay for a West Coast
This
connect.
guy is smooth.
And
Do you
then we
see
were
how subtle he's asking you to do it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
he's a pro, this
Yeah.
kid.
Pick up on that at all. That's a great
Yeah,
point.
he's a pro.
So, and I was like, oh yeah, that would be crazy.
I think he might be, you know.
Yeah. No?
So we're like, oh yeah, that's wild. And then we just didn't even think about it, right? We didn't think, I'm like, oh, but that's crazy. Like, how do you move product out there? I gotta like pay somebody to drive it out there. He's just gonna steal it. Like, you can't do that. What are we, drug traffickers? Come on, we're just kids. We're not criminals. Come on. So, but then like 6 months later, we had graduated and I'm watching this like, I think it's like a CNN like expose on how people traffic weed through the mail. And I was like, bing, light bulb. Oh, you thought this was gonna deter me? This is a fucking video, dude. I guess that's what my show is, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, let's see if there's something here. And, you know, just little by little, we start with like sending a couple ounces over. You know?
You're doing this through USPS or UPS or
all
FedEx?
three.
Okay.
All three. So there's the USPS,
Yeah.
the post office.
Yep.
There's FedEx and there's UPS. UPS is the worst. They're fucking criminals, okay?
Yeah, why?
Don't call me the criminal.
Why,
Those
why,
motherfuckers
why?
stole so much packages from me, bro.
Oh, 'cause they knew.
Yeah, they know.
yeah,
they just
yeah,
know.
yeah,
and they got
yeah.
scumbags working for them, and I guess they don't shake them down when they leave the sorting warehouses, wherever they go.
Yeah.
Because we had several boxes with like 10 or 15 pounds in them that would show up weeks later to the address, gone. Gone.
Oh, there'd be no weed in it, but the box
exactly.
would
They'd
show
still
up.
deliver it. They would still figure out a way to deliver it, you know?
Dude, I want to get back to, I had a friend of mine's in the cereal business, and they're shipping cereal around the country, right? All of a sudden, they get a call from one of their, from like the police or something somewhere, and they go, hey, we had to pull over your trucker. Uber does freight, okay? We had to pull over the Uber freight, and because there was drugs in your shipment. And then they go, what? They go, yeah, there was like a lot of drugs. You had like a few pallets of cereal, then drugs, and then more pallets of cereal, right? And then she's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. This is really weird. So they arrest the guy, they find out, and they start looking back into their shipping logs, right? And they would find that the cereal would make it to certain destinations, but only like half of it. And then a week later, the other half would show up. And basically what the shipping company was doing was taking out, using the drugs, using that to get the drugs around, squeezing it in between, but still making sure all the shipments got there, so you would be none the wiser.
Like, oh, oopsie, the other half was on a different thing.
Brilliant.
Kind
Because
of fucking smart.
No, it's brilliant.
And it's on Uber, because Uber's the one doing the freight.
Wow. That's one of the things I recommend in episode 18, how to move drugs efficiently. You use one of those like third party, episode 18. Thanks, Dove. Appreciate it. That would have been nice 45 minutes ago.
I've been looking over here for the last hour.
What, you don't have other people lined up to work here? Come on. Be a little afraid, you know? So yeah, that's a common method. And then they can't put it on you. So if you own a shipping company, it's like, I just got the bill of sale. I just ship what people bring to me. So it's like, and that's why actually Chapo became who he was, is because he perfected how to move bulk, to smuggle bulk coke through, on legal freight trucks across the border.
So that's really what makes somebody special in the game, is distribution.
Of course.
Because that's the most difficult part of it.
Anybody can cop.
Somebody was telling me about that. I was talking to somebody about Escobar, and my understanding of Escobar was the genius was his ability to distribute. And the way that he won over that girl, what was the girl's name? She's like the cocaine cowgirl or whatever. I think Griselda. Apparently she was like, I need this much coke in Miami by tomorrow or something crazy.
She walks out the door.
Leaves.
There.
It's like, if you do it, you're in, and if you don't, you're not. And like he just had the ability to make these things happen.
Yeah.
It's funny that distribution, because like
It's like Amazon.
That's what I was about to say. It's like
Amazon.
you
Yeah.
win the game through getting the
Yes,
product to
of
people.
course,
It doesn't
of
matter
course.
what it is.
Yeah.
There's just way higher stakes here.
But back in the day, it was easy. Escobar could literally fly a plane and land it in Miami. Now you can't do that anymore. So it's
Gotcha.
really the game
Talk
is.
that shit about the OGs, yo.
Bro, the fucking which ones? Which ones do you want to hear about? I met a lot of them. We're going to film with Griselda, her son,
Oh, really?
Michael Corleone, next week in Miami.
Get outta here.
Yeah, we're doing all right. So but it was the Mexicans that made the Colombians work for the Mexicans now. You want to know the truth?
Let's go, Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, let's go. Right?
Mexicans are the best, bro.
They're the fucking
They're number
best.
one.
Yes.
They're number one.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. They're the best Latins for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was talking about the minorities. I was like, come on, about us. Hey, come on. Do you have a YouTube series?
Yeah, do that takeover. Okay?
Their number,
But you know, it's at the point now where, it's like the Colombians are begging people to give the Mexicans to take their coke because the Mexicans got
'Cause they can get it into
fentanyl.
America.
Of course, they monopolize the land border. It's like it's us or nothing. Plus, they have fentanyl, coke. They're selling weed still. So it's like what can you do for me? So we were down filming in Sinaloa, where it all jumped off last month with Chapo's son, Ovidio. We were in Culiacan. I got this rosary actually from a sicario that was guarding El Mayo, who was the last remaining senor from the old, kingpin era.
You spoke to him?
No. We could never get that close. We spoke to his bodyguards.
And they're cool to talk to you? Like they allow
off
it?
camera. They didn't let us film. They off camera and shit. Yeah, we talked to them.
How do you know what you can and can't get away with?
We're kind of learning as we go.
Because you keep
learning as
saying
we
the
go.
name of the cartel, and I'm sure people know they sell drugs.
Yeah.
But you just saying I sold for them, probably not the best look. Are they upset about that? Are you
No,
hearing anything?
bro. They all want to be on camera. They all want to be,
Look at
every
this guy,
OG.
son. I love this. Wait, this is really interesting to me. So it's on some, what was the movie with Denzel where he wears the fucking mink? American Gangster.
American Gangster, yeah.
And what was prolific about him was his ability to stay low profile,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
they marketed this part of the movie as in like, hey, the second you want the attention, it's over. That's the
yeah.
whole Gotti thing
Exactly,
too. So
exactly.
you're saying that these guys, despite having all the riches and all the liberties and all the freedoms, they still want...
It's not enough. They still want ego. They have ego. They still want attention. They want, what is man really driven by? Money, yes, but people want...
Respect.
They want respect and they want to be
adulation.
seen. Exactly.
Yeah.
In anything you do. So it's not enough to live in the shadows. It is for the old guys, right?
Because they understand it.
Correct. And El Mayo Zambada, whose sicarios we talked to, he's the last guy because there's only 3 existing photos of him. And and he's probably connected with the CIA and the DEA. He feeds.
I want to get into that.
He feeds the cartel. He feeds the government, other cartel leaders. This is what you don't know about. This is a dirty little secret. Mexican cartel bosses, every now and then, just like when Frank Lucas wore the mink and he got a little too hot.
Yeah.
Every now and then, somebody from the Mexican and United States government will see a guy and he's getting too big. He's
gotta
getting
let
too
him
hot.
eat.
Exactly. We got to feed you somebody.
Gotta let you eat.
And Zambada has been feeding. He fed them Chapo. He fed them probably Ovidio, Chapo's son, who they just went and snatched. They're all
So
and
that's
Chapo.
how you stay alive.
Exactly. And they don't look at it as ratting though. They don't look at it as snitching.
Is it just business?
It's just
competition?
It's business. It's part of how you do business. It's part of how you survive. They don't look at it
because
like that.
they're at the highest levels where they're already interacting with the police. They're already
Of course,
interacting
the police know all of it.
So it's like the idea of not talking to the police is 10 levels below.
No, in fact, you must, because the cops will come to you. If you're a governor in Chihuahua, and I'm the boss, you come to me and say, look, I'm having a problem with these gangbangers. They're dropping bodies, all this kind of foolishness. Plus, I need some
bringing too much attention.
Exactly. Plus, I need some roads paved. Plus, I need a new water supply, for the town. What can you do for me? And then that's how I say, I'll take care of all of it. But now my drugs need to move through your state unfettered. In fact, we need the military to protect it. And that's how drug routes are established.
Okay.
Okay?
Are the cartels...
I know, my nipples are hard. Dude.
No, this is great. Are the cartels in Mexico almost similar to like big tech in America, and where like the business has just grown so big and it's so important to the government that it has to bind together?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
probably.
Like for example, like Facebook, it's like you work with the government. You have to.
Yeah,
You're not an
of course.
independent company. Like
No.
if a politician wants something, they make the phone call.
Right. Yeah.
And I imagine Mexico, these conglomerates are so massive and they're so dependent, both are dependent, that they kind of work together.
Oh, absolutely. They're completely interdependent. Completely. I mean, they just arrested a guy who used to work for the former administration, the last Mexico president.
Okay.
The Secretary of Defense was taking hundreds of millions of dollars in bribes from Chapo. Wow. That would be like Hillary Clinton when she was working for Obama, dealing with, whoever, the biggest criminal in the country.
Wow.
So if you're someone like Chapo that's like maybe underneath one of these other guys, how do you not get clipped? Like how do you keep yourself from getting fed?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
And how do you
keep a
respond
low
to getting
profile?
fed?
You keep a low profile because as soon as you like El Mencho, you've heard of that guy?
No.
He's the guy that the competition to Sinaloa is the Nuevo Jalisco cartel.
Yeah.
And they're the guys out of Jalisco.
Yeah.
And Mencho is their leader, and he's getting
hot.
He's getting way too hot. Now they're coming for him. If he's not already dead, they're like actively looking for him.
And by they, you mean the government and the other cartels, or just the other cartels?
Just the government. The Mexican government, because they need support from America. And America's like, look, we're gonna give you all of these stimulus for your economy and for your military, but we need some headlines. So why did Joe Biden? Joe Biden went to visit Mexico last month. What happened 3 days before he visited? They came and snatched Ovidio out of Culiacan.
Oh, wow.
Wait. So break down this relationship.
Wow.
We need support from the United States for other things, non-drug related
bunch of
things.
shit.
We're geopolitical partners, and we need to have like certain political wins in order to curry favor.
Yeah, it's all about appearances.
So we need to look like we got this drug shit under control.
Of course.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
So if you're not top dog,
You're fine.
you're either fine or you're getting clipped.
If you get too hot.
That's the thing. Like, it's almost like, there's like a nice, comfortable like middle ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Where
you don't even want to go higher than that.
And a guy told us just that. The guide who was taking us around Culiacan was like, nobody wants to be Chapo anymore. Nah,
Or you gotta
kidding.
blast through. You gotta blast through that dangerous
But
spot
there
and then become
is-
the one.
There is
you
no
need
more
the-
doing that,
No,
though.
but you need the escape velocity. He's right, because if you get to the point where you're interfacing with the government and you're keeping shit cool and you're the one feeding the new folks, you're straight.
Yeah.
But breaking through that, it's terrifying.
And in my opinion, there's no more doing that.
Why?
There's
Why is
no
that?
more because the old days are gone. Everything's decentralized. There's radar everywhere. The satellite can pick up your license plate from space. It's just everything is too.
So in other words, there's the technology to arrest whoever we want
exactly
in a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So if anybody is pushing weight, it has been allowed.
Yes, and you cannot become like one of these like grandfather kingpins anymore. Like you're just gonna get caught. You're gonna get popped.
Without
before
those
that
grandfather
happens.
kingpins, is Mexico any safer? And like the way we look at it, the cartel runs everything. It's dangerous. Does a lot of that go away with people not trying to be top dog?
I feel like it's worse
No,
now.
probably worse. Yeah, because everybody's, when there's no structure up top, all the fucking,
just mayhem.
all the rats are trying to grab that cheese,
Yeah.
So it's going off right now.
Yeah.
And now the Sinaloa is getting weakened because they came and arrested Ovidio. Yes, now you're going to have warring parties go in there.
So it's almost better that all the illegal activity is done by one group.
a couple of them, yeah.
A couple. That's kind of how it works up in Canada, where the Cambodians will handle the illegal gambling, and the Italians will do the this, and the Chinese will do the that.
As it's monopolized, you can bargain more.
Yeah, and everybody kind of knows each other's space.
Yeah.
And they're fucking Canadian about it.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah.
like too disrespectful.
Fucking annoying though.
But it stays safer.
Yeah.
When everybody's beefing and going after it and
Right.
thinks that they're going to be top dog.
Of course.
That's where you get people starting to get murked.
Of course, but you can't be top dog in Canada. You can't be top dog in America. There's no real kingpins because you're always getting it from somebody. In Mexico, when
If you don't
own the
control the
factories,
supply.
you control the manufacturing, dude. It gets no higher than that. So that's what being a kingpin really is.
You have to own the supply. You have to own the distribution.
They control how much product gets shipped up. When you literally control the price, that is a cartel. That's OPEC. That's oil.
Yeah, you're
you know
the
what I mean?
Federal Reserve. You can
Yeah.
make the prices of shit going in and out.
But now, hang on to your britches. Now what's happening is even that is getting flattened.
Why?
Because as the world gets decentralized, the cartels are no longer monopolizing every level of the drug chain. So it used to be where if the Sinaloa cartel had pretty much everybody on payroll, I pay the drivers, I pay the mules, I pay the workers, I have people in the United States receiving the drugs to distribute it and send the money back, right? It's not really like that anymore. It's all independent contractors. You're a trucker from Culiacan, I got a load of fentanyl that needs to make it to the border, and I have the drug route. I will pay you for your services rendered. Then, and this is according to Luis Chaparro, our good friend who works for Vice News. He's the #1 cartel journalist in all of Latin America. So this is not me talking. This is from him. It's years of study and being down there embedded. You're a truck driver. You will move it to the border. Then an American will meet you, pay for the drugs wholesale, and they will mule it across the border.
And then all these people are completely separate.
Exactly. And it makes it impossible to take an organization down that way.
So it is, the fact that it's decentralized creates more security for the people in charge, but there's less control over what happens with the drugs.
Of course.
And that's where you get fentanyl getting inserted into the coke.
Totally.
That's where you get other people snitching. So the risk is the snitching. You just hope that you could create enough of a barrier between you and them.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, how fucking furious were the cartels when the fentanyl stuff was happening with the coke?
Oh yeah, well I asked about that a ton down there.
What'd they say?
Right? They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of give a shit, but like I was like, do you guys feel bad at all? And they were like, oh.
No. I'm not concerned about feeling bad.
Reputation,
I'm more concerned about like
about the product. Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
So we went to Burning Man, right?
Yeah.
And like,
oh, you guys were fucking
had-
treating your noses.
well, no. Like, I mean, I did coke once out there. That was the only time I've ever done coke. I'm not a big.
How'd
coke
you
guy.
like it?
It was awesome. Yeah, it should be this popular. Like, it's like seeing a comic that like you've heard is good, and you're like, oh, he deserves this. You know, like it did exactly what I wanted it to do. But what I noticed from everybody was that the casual drug went from coke. I mean, I've gone to Burning Man a bunch of times. It was coke only to ketamine.
Yeah.
And the overwhelming reaction to coke initially was like, oh yeah, I don't trust the coke, or we gotta test the coke.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm a cartel boss that makes money off of coke, I'm going, we have a marketing issue right here.
Yeah. Actually, I take it back, you're right, because what they've started to do is when they send the fentanyl pills up to the border, they are starting to make them pink. So
you can't crush it into the thing.
And when you do,
you'll see that shit.
When you're sniffing coke on the US side and it looks a little pink, stay away from it. Because that means a dumbass dealer has crushed up fentanyl and mixed it in with his powder.
Now you're helping people, bro.
Yeah. Come on,
Dude,
bro.
that was
I
good.
do what I can, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Fuck, because that fentanyl shit is game over, right?
Game over. I had friends die from it.
Yeah.
Really?
My
Same.
favorite barber died of it. That's why I'm rocking this mullet. I don't know what to do. It was like losing a fucking loved one, bro. 7 years, this asshole, you know?
No.
Went and kicked the bucket, just one line.
Because he
right?
thought he was blowing coke.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost a couple comics that way.
Yeah, exactly. And not the comics we wanted, you know?
There's a couple that could have gone, right?
Could have gone,
Yeah.
you know?
Yo, how do you not get back in the game? Because I used to do it very low, like nickel
just
and diming.
talking about it right now, Al wants to get back in.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's itching. I want
Great
you to
question.
just keep talking about jail, so I don't even think about getting back in.
I'm glad we got that shit out the way.
Well, it's like how an alcoholic goes to AA meetings and talks about, man, do you remember when I used to black out and, you know, wake up with a dick in my mouth? Like he does that to remind himself
Of the horrible shit.
Exactly, or just to get it out. Because they love talking about alcoholic war stories. That's kind of why I do this, you know, because I do love talking about it.
Gives you your fix.
It gives me my rush, and then I can fall back, you know.
Here's something.
It's not the same. It's not the same.